Are Newcastle United really in the race to sign Elliot Anderson? What's the latest on Yoane Wissa and when can we expect him to return to the team? And how has Ross Wilson been settling in as the new sporting director? Yes, people, welcome back to the Magpie Channel TV. Late Thursday night upload for you, just a quick one, so we'll rattle through a lot of topics that have been asked and covered in a Daily Mail article here, which covers the base of a lot of things on Newcastle United fans' mind and Newcastle news, including a Lewis Hall fitness update and everything I just mentioned there in the intro. And remember, we are finally back to club football this weekend. I'm sure you don't need remembering, to be honest with you, because England international break is over for a good few weeks, and then we're back at it again until the World Cup. But thankfully, Newcastle return this weekend, Brighton away, a difficult, tricky fixture, which we'll touch on tomorrow. I'll tell you what, I'll be back tomorrow for a Friday video post Eddie Howe press conference as well, see what the gaffer's got to say. But what is said in this article, there's loads of updates after, to be fair, we'll mention the international break, but it's been a very good one. Gordon scoring and getting man of the match for England the other night, in which Dan Burn came on as well. Bruno Guimaraes putting in unbelievable performances for Brazil and great world-class assists for his team out there in Asia and those pointless bloody friendlies. Tonali and Voltemada as well, also playing key roles for their country in big wins. Voltemada, Big Nick, getting his first big goal for the Germans as well, against the Mackem defence, the Northern Irish, yeah? Oh, I love to see it. Big up the Irish Mags as always as well. But on that, we'll move on swiftly to club football. And we'll talk about Yoane Wissa then, first of all, because let's be real, let's be honest, I was going to say we've missed him, obviously. Voltemada has done amazing to step up so soon, score a few goals in his first few games. All the pressure on his shoulders and the big price tag. There's people out there in Germany, criticise him, saying that it's a foolish price tag. We're being ripped off and all the rest of it. He just stepped up and continues banging in goals for fun. So he's proven them wrong. But we know, after the international break now, it is a very hectic month for the Magpies. We've got Champions League football next week, can't wait for that. We've got Carabao Cup football the week after. We've got Premier League obviously in the mix. Loads of matches. I think there's 7 or something like that, daft, before the international break. And there's plenty of fixtures going on now in all competitions across the board for the tune. And where is Wissa? Where's the £55 million man? Setback after setback, injury after injury, even though, as we know, he went years without an injury for the Bees. You know what I mean? It was I think it was 3 injuries in 3 years for Brentford. He missed a few games at best. And now he misses a few months at Newcastle. We've whinged about that already. Let's get on with it. When's he back and what's happening? Well, it was a PCL injury. Not an ACL, a PCL. So thankfully, it wasn't, a complete write-off. He wasn't ruled out for 6 to 9 months. That was thought. It was more like the 6 to 8 weeks. Wissa does not require an operation on this one. I'm reading from the Mail article here, by the way, so well done to them for this one. And he does remain on track for a November return. Now, they're stating here it could be West Ham on the 2nd of November or his former side Brentford on the 9th of November, I think it is. I've actually been told, separately from that, I've been told that they want him in the matchday squad for the Athletic Club game. For that Champions League fixture at St James's Park, Eddie Howe is hopeful of having him on the bench at least for that Champions League time. What a nice introduction that would be for him if he could make his Champions League debut and his Newcastle debut, or at least be ready for it off the bench against the Spanish side. The 29-year-old is running on grass now, which is great news. He's taking injections, and he could have even played by now, but the club don't want to risk him with the fear of having him out longer term. So they're easing him in. They're taking the necessary steps to make sure he's strong enough to return, and he will not be rushed. And obviously, Big Nick's form has helped the fact that we don't need to rush him. We don't need to panic and be like, Jesus, that's Baltimore, that's crap, he's not scoring. Get Wissa in, get the Premier League proven striker in. We need goals. Baltimore has stepped up massively. So Vissa's been given a bit more time to gel, to adapt, and to get going at Newcastle. Now that he's training properly, he's training with his teammates, kind of, getting there. He's definitely on grass now. It makes a big difference to hopefully have him involved in a few weeks' time, next month in November. But the question also remains, well, that's great, Matty, that's great, Newcastle, but he's only going to be back for a month and he's effing off the bloody AFCON. You know what I mean? We paid all this money for him, we might get 3-4 matches out of him, and he's off to AFCON. Is he going to get injured again with DR Congo or what? There's talks here that it could be a bit of a leeway for Newcastle, a bit of a layoff in terms of representing his country I genuinely find this hard to believe, but there's been other reports suggesting this from Sky and whatnot, that Wissa could actually stay at Newcastle during that AFCON. They're saying that he could not travel for AFCON. There may be a compromise, especially that they're in a World Cup playoff as well. Them discussions are going to take place close at the time. It says here in this article. I mean, can't be much closer. It's only less than 2 months away. But they're saying here, the player is determined to make a big impact for a club who showed great patience and faith in signing him in the summer and putting, let's be honest, overpaid money on the table for him. 55 million for a 29-year-old. Yes, he's Premier League proven, but as we know, that was over the mark, wasn't it, realistically? But we got him in the end. Now, we haven't seen him at all for months. He's finally training at the event and training ground. But there's talks here that he might miss AFCON. I would be really surprised if DR Congo agree to that. If they were like, oh yeah, our best player. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Don't even for AFCON. No intention of winning it. Tell you what, keep him. I just think they would really want him. He would probably feel too disrespectful to say no to go over there to AFCON. Newcastle obviously going to want him to stay. Newcastle going to be like, yeah, mate, you got him injured. He's playing on really plastic pitches in Sudan. Is why he got injured in the first place, and we've missed him for months, so no, he can't go. I hope we hold that kind of thought. I hope we hold that opinion where we do try and get him to stay. But at the end of the day, if he wants to play for his country, which I'm sure he does, and his country want him to play for them, which I'm sure they do, to give him the best chance at the Africa Cup of Nations, I'd be surprised if we get him to stay. Unless his injury hasn't fully recovered, if he's not playing week in, week out, or if he's just literally turned around and said, listen, I've got to protect me career here, I'm going to have to respect Newcastle's wishes, sorry I can't come, but I'll see you in the World Cup next year, if they make it. We'll wait and see, let us know your thoughts on that. Obviously, I'm sure you want him to stay because, let's be honest, we care more about him playing for Newcastle than Congo, even though I always respect the player that wants to play for his country. That's where he got injured. And he does kind of owe us the faith and the determination to get him signed for the club in the summer. And also, Congo have got to hold their hands and be like, yeah, probably played him too much, too soon. He didn't really have a pre-season. We played him in 2 games in the matter of days and he got injured in crappy pitches. So, we are owed one. But I would just be surprised if they ultimately agree to that. New sporting director Ross Wilson has been on the training ground this week, taking a more humble approach to his predecessor, Paul Mitchell, one of the Mitchells. Paul it was, wasn't it? Don't care anymore. Forget about him. Yeah? Useless. Absolutely useless. So, remember when Mitchell came in? Paul, Phil, Bradley. Yeah, it doesn't matter, does it? He came in, aye, and he made a fool of himself. Called himself elite. Imagine that. Introducing yourself to world-class footballers. You know, Trippier, England international. Bruno, Brazilian. Tonali. At the time, Isaac. The list could go on. Yeah? I'm elite. I mean, you lot. I'm the elite one here, yeah? Yeah, I don't care. You think you're a footballer? I'm a sporting director. I'm the elite one. I'm the big shot. Yeah, put respect on my baldy head. I'm the elite figure here. I don't care about all of you. Anyhow, what you done? Yeah? I'm Mitchell. Paul or Phil. Whatever you want. So, mad. He introduced himself like bloody Ricky Gervais in The Office. Yeah, he introduced himself on a mad one. Saying he was elite, saying he was world class. That obviously rubbed people up the wrong way. The players and everyone thought straight away, who the F does this bloke think he is? And he came in all guns blazing at, well, Wilson, the new sporting director, has came in and took a more humble approach. And he's been very polite in these introductory meetings and a sensible approach. He's been involved with Steve Harper at the academy. He's been involved with Grace Williams He's been involved with Grace Williams for the women's side, and he's also been watching first team training this week and continued daily talks with Eddie Howe. Now, he has been talking to Howe for absolutely months on end, but now we've paid the release clause for Forest. He's at Newcastle. He's here, and he's absorbing as much information as possible and getting stuck in on the training ground, which is great to see. Great to see, you know, remember last year that Germany Adidas pre-season thing where it was all a bit hostile. There was rumours of things going wrong. Well, this time, Wilson, the sporting director, Howe, Bunce, obviously in charge of the whole injuries and, you know, recovery specialism. He's there. They're all getting together as one. We're all united, which is nice. So he's getting on well there. And as we mentioned in the video last week, he's going to be looking at contracts for our new players like Tonali, Livramento and Botman right at the top of the agenda for Wilson. Will re-signing Elliot Anderson be at the top of that agenda as well? Will that be high up on that priority list? Well, it bloody well should, because yet again, he has shined for the three lines. And he will next summer. He will at the World Cup. Tuchel really likes him. Tuchel's involving him in that system where it allows Declan Rice to play further forward. Anderson can sit, control things, dictate tempo, show his absolute professionalism and skill in the middle of the park. And he is a brilliant player. We knew that at the time. Eddie Howe said in his last press conference before the international break that he didn't want to lose him. They knew they were getting ripped off. They knew they were giving Forest a bargain. Well, Newcastle are actually interested in re-signing him because, as we know, the whole of social media wants to re-sign him for Newcastle. The whole fan base wants the Geordie Maradona back. You've got Man United interested in him, wanting to sign him. I mean, he'd be an absolute lunatic to go there, but we still see it. We said the same thing for Šeško, for Mbumo, for Cunha this summer, and all the rest of it. They still go there for the name, for the money. And listen, Elliot Anderson, I'm sure he's a bit more switched on. He has. Man United, no. Yeah, I've said it a million times. It's not 2002 anymore. Anderson won't be playing with Roy Keane. He won't be playing with Ryan Giggs in midfield, right? Yeah, no. Rooney's career, he's not going to come there. But it's only a matter of time before even more clubs, if they aren't already interested in Elliot Anderson. But they're saying here, yes, there's a chance Newcastle sign Anderson, and that's pretty obvious. Obviously, there's a chance. Anything can happen. So, interestingly, he has a very good relationship with the sporting director we've just discussed, Ross Wilson. Wilson at Forest was very influential in bringing Elliot Anderson to Nottingham. So, he knows him well there. He's got on well with them. They became friends at the time at Forest together. And there's no suggestion of any moves being made yet. But we know from the press conference the other week that Eddie Howe is still a huge admirer of Anderson, never want to lose him, wants to bring him back. All but said that in the presser the other week. And Anderson wants to come back. Listen, he's in Wembley, Carabao Cup final, with the away fans watching us lift the trophy. And he should have been there. He should have been a member of that squad if it wasn't for bloody PSR. And I've said it before, we've got to hold ourselves accountable. You know, whoever it was, whether Staveley or Gudusi or the previous Ashworth or Mitchell, whatever. Was Mitchell even there at the time? Probably not. But the previous people there that didn't look after the finances properly and didn't cover themselves with PSR, and they thought, bollocks, it's deadline day, we've got to sell Minter and Anderson or get a points deduction. They were in no position at all to ask for a buyback clause, which is the thing that has grinded me, and I'm sure a lot of you watching the video where you think, why on earth did we not have first dibs on signing him back and a release clause involved in his contract, which all the big clubs do? Well, because we weren't in a position of power. We had knee strength in negotiations. We were like, we are desperate for this money. Please give us 35 million and Odysseus. That shows how desperate we were. Never made a release clause, but took Odysseus, who, to be fair, is actually doing already unknown. Big him up. But we were that desperate. We took that. And we had to. And like Howe said, they knew they got ripped off. They knew Anderson was at least a £50 million player. At least with the English tax as well. But we couldn't get that deal done for him. However, Anderson is on a list of targets for Wilson heading into next summer and beyond, according to this article here. And you'd expect that. Listen, Joe Linton and that are aging. We need more strength and depth in midfield. Miley's there, yeah, great. Willock, Ramsey, got a lot of proof. The pair of them, Ramsey's new, got a lot of proof. Willock been here for years, haven't seen him have a good game in years. Always injured. So we need to strengthen that midfield. Longstaff's gone. We need it. And I see people saying, well, where's he going to play? You know, Anderson's that good. He's playing for England. He's playing for Forest. He's one of the best in the league in that position. He gets in. It is tough to ask because he definitely doesn't get in ahead of Sandro. Doesn't get in ahead of Bruno. He replaces Joe Linton, if we're being honest. But he can rotate. He can rotate and he can change things around. And that's very harsh on Big Joe. He's been incredible. But Elliot Anderson, he's young. He's up and coming. He's thriving. Do you know what I mean? And it just gives... If we're in the Champions League, you know, even win any European competition again, you need players like them to come in for each other. So yeah, Anderson could easily slot back in Newcastle. I really hope we do look to sign him next summer. It will be an astronomical fee. We know how mad Marinakis is at Forest, the owner there. It won't be easy to negotiate with them. Hopefully bringing in Wilson will ease that, will soften transfer negotiations and discussions with the connections there. But it will be hard. But you've already got the player in Anderson who will love to come back. Forest are on a downward spiral. You know, if they get rid of Ange, who's going to get in next? And it's a mess there. So that could help in our advantage, really, couldn't it? Whether they go down or whether they're in the mix, you know, very much likely not to get top 6, top 8 again. So, yeah, even though Anderson is understood to be very happy at Forest, will he be next summer when they finish 13th or something? It'll get him in the England side, But going on from there, if Newcastle come in, he'll want it. Will we be able to give Forest what they want? Let us know in the comments. Would you like to see Anderson return to the Mags? And what do you think it'll cost to bring him back to the Toon? Will there be any January signings? Well, there is nothing on the agenda or the horizon of yet. Of course, there isn't. And even if there was, it'd be very hard to get that information from these getting it, me getting it, anyone getting it. But Newcastle are getting the next John Stones, which, you know, they've just labelled him John Stones, the next John Stones, because he's from Barnsley, just like Stones is. So, I mean, I'm pleased, great, but however, he's a defender. Where's he from? Barnsley. John Stones? Nah. Well, must be the next one then. It's Josh Kensington, who's from Barnsley, a centre-back billed as the next John Stones. The England under-15 star is a towering presence, north of 6 foot. Already, at that age, mental. He's going to be huge next Dan Burn, not next bloody John Stones. He's a Barnsley boy. Newcastle have made their move, and they've beaten the likes of Tottenham to the signing. It's not formally completed yet, but a deal has been agreed between the clubs, and his family have visited Tyneside. There is a huge amount of excitement around his arrival. So, yeah, fantastic. Look forward to seeing him in Newcastle soon, and in the future, hopefully, for the first team. But this sort of thing when they always just link the next player as the player from where they were before them. Mad. Anyways, update on Lewis Hall. His injury. He pulled his hamstring on the USG game, which was a huge blow. Howe didn't give a time frame at the time, but this article here is stating that it was a period of 6 to 8 weeks, the same as Tino. Imagine losing your two young fullbacks to injuries for a couple of months. Big blow, huge blow, in fact. Considering we're relying on Burn and Trippier, who are doing amazing, but players that are in their 30s will be playing twice a week. Big ass, but fair play to them. Doing incredible, and long may continue. But yeah, early December seems most likely. Alex Murphy could slot in, maybe, as mentioned here. And obviously we'll hope that Livermento makes a speedy recovery as well. And Malik Chow has played full-back for his previous club and at Germany before as well, AC Milan in Germany, so that could happen. But let's be real, with how well Chow and Botman are playing at centre-back, you can't tear them apart anytime soon. There's loads we've got into in this video. I'm not even sure how long it's gone into, but if you've watched it this long, thank you very much. Please like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Let us know in your comments below. I'll be back on Friday, Eddie Howe's press conference, and the build-up to that game on Saturday against Brighton, where I'll be back for a match reaction as well. So thanks for watching, everyone. Have a good night. I'll see yous on the next one.